Welcome to Olympian Water Testing, giving you the best in water analysis. Today we're looking at the NIH National Library of Medicine, effects of cadmium toxicity on vertebrates. So this is taking a look at toxic of heavy metal, especially cadmium, which as a contaminant of fresh water is a threat to human health, causes itai, and also what it does to vertebrates, including different aquatic life. So a great deal of concern over the last few decades has been directed at the containment of fresh waters with many different pollutants. The concentration of heavy metals in the aquatic environment has increased dramatically due to industrial, mining, agricultural, and domestic activities. And due to toxicity of heavy metals and their propensity for accumulating, discharging them into rivers and other aquatic environments, this can adversely affect the diversity of aquatic species, damage vital ecosystems. So it's not just affecting humans negatively, this is destroying potentially whole ecosystems and needs to be addressed. Aquatic organisms such as fish, shellfish, that live in the polluted water where it can accumulate toxic metals until concentrations exceed their concentration into the water to a significant extent. And metals they take up from polluted water are concentrated at different levels in various organs of the aquatic organisms, and that will eventually lead back to us. For example, research has shown that the cadmium concentrations are much higher in the gills and the viscera of aquatic organisms than in other organs, and cadmium is an extremely toxic heavy metal that is used extensively in mining, metallurgy operations, electroplating industries, and in manufacturing vinyl and plastics, and in making electrical contacts as well as metallic and plastic pipes. And high concentrations of metals can accumulate in the tissues of most aquatic organisms because of their feeding and metabolic processes, concentrating the metals on specific body parts. Some studies of this process on fish have indicated that cadmium may have toxic effects that result in the alterations of physiological processes in the blood and tissue of fish. Thus, it is important to monitor the concentrations of heavy metals in aquatic environments. Currently, there's more awareness of the importance of studying parasites that affect fish. And this is important because parasitic species pose a major obstacle to the production of fish, causing about 80% of the diseases that afflict warm water fish. And the relationship of the parasitism and the pollution to the complex, and it involves phenomenon in which parasitism may decrease the host's susceptibility to toxic compounds, which in turn can either lead to an increase or decrease of the prevalence of certain parasites. And pollutants may have the effects on the intermediate or the alternative hosts in the parasitic's lifestyle, thereby affecting the stages of the parasite's activities. In Egypt, some fish farms depend on agricultural drainage and water mixed with industrial pollutants and phosphate fertilizers, which are the main source of CD in the environment. And this observation is especially of concern in Kafr el-Sheikh, Governorate, and both of the pollutions are significant sources of cadmium pollution that affects the prevalence of the internal parasitic diseases in cultured fishes. And the present study dealt with the most prevalent parasitic infection in cultures, Nicotillus, in relation to cadmium concentration. And at Kafr el-Sheikh fish farms in this work, the main clinical findings in natural infested, 0 Nicoletis showed of the parasites aggregated on the surface of the water and the intel pipe that provide the water to the pond. And upon examination, it was apparent that some of the fish were making abnormal movements and had abnormal shapes. The results of the investigation showed that cadmium mainly causes deformities of fish backbones, which could possibly attribute to muscle spasms. The deformities also appear as scoliosis and the compression of vertebral column. And other effects that were noted include loss of appetite and escape reflex. And they may be nearly similar to that recorded earlier. So as we can see, cadmium has a very bad effect on fish and also shellfish, and in that study, it can even cause motor problems, and eventually that will lead back to us when it ends up on our plate. That's why it's always a good idea to have your water periodically tested for high levels of cadmium.